plant, like a potted plant. We'll go deeper into that sometime. Anything from last week on these finer inner dimensions experienced? Thank you, Brad. Yeah. Hello out there in the world. You people better talk tonight because I'm not much for it tonight.
Hi, Sensei.
Hey.
Hi, Sensei. It's Nikki from New Zealand.
Yes. Oh,
I'm well, thank you. It was interesting. I was watching an older video of you, and it was a session on being present. And the more that you were being present, what I could see on the video was that the more you were able to connect with Uke, but you weren't talking about connection with Uke. You were just doing a simple technique where you were present, Uke was coming in, and then you were just basically connecting and gently putting them to the mat. And I said to Mark, I don't get this because Sensei is just talking about being present, but what I can see is that he's actually being connected to Uke. So is that two different languages? Because to me, that means, and Mark is saying, no, Sensei is just reiterating what he's been saying all this time. And I said, what? Like you don't actually practice connecting to Uke, you just practice being present and then that connection will happen. And he was going, yeah. And that to me was a real revelation, because then I said, oh my gosh. So that means that when you go into a finer dimension and you practice getting to a better level of you, then it means that these things like feeling the energy, being more present, getting that connection with Uke, then those things actually happen more easily. And I was thinking, oh my God, I've just been practicing it backwards, because all this time I've been trying to like build my connections with Uke and feeling the energy and the flow and all this. But actually, if I just practice being more settled, being more grounded, doing those processes of getting to a better level of me, then these things that I've been trying to practice will actually happen more easily. And guess what?
No, and
no and. But on Wednesday, I practiced this. So we were doing Uke had a tento to my back, and they were pressing forward or giving some pressure forward. And to start with, I was being really distracted by the fact that there was this pressure coming on my back, and all I could focus on was that there was a tento going into my back, and that was being really distracting. I couldn't get past that. But then about halfway through the class, because it took me that long to settle into it, it was okay, just ground. Where's my base? Build that base a little bit bigger, do some more grounding. And it was, I at the end of that particular round, I said to my Uke, were you actually still pressing the tento with the same amount of force as previous times? Because that time I didn't actually feel that tento going into my back. It was like you were being really light. And he said, yeah, no, I was still using the same amount of force. And that was just, yeah, that was a real light bulb moment, Sensei.
That's basically a center circle, one way to look at it. The better the center, the clearer the circle. So whether your circle is connection or relationships, it's like, yes, if this is better, that's better. As you allow more of the circle, center gets better. As center gets better, circle gets better in relation. So center circle, basically.
Right. But it was just really exciting.
Thank you. Good. Okay, yeah, basically center circle in that case. You settle more, and your sense of things, how things work around you, the world you're in, the circle, should get better. Basic, okay? Center to circle, okay? In the potted plant theory, if the plant itself, the center, the plant itself comes more alive, it's alive with the nutrients of the plant it's in and the finer soil, the nutrients in the soil, and those activate more. So you get this plant to that soil back to the plant grows, finer soil comes into play, you're beginning to increase your pot size, is how we laid out. So potted plant theory is in there also. Yeah, so, okay. Somebody, anything last week?
Sensei, this is Bob.
Hey, Bob.
One thing you emphasized with all the patterns was you need to experientially absorb the energies, the nutrients that are present before anything else can really happen.
Yeah, and all the I should take this one down again. Yes, one by two by. One by, because we start going as lesser available resources. As we shift into a two by, they're just there. So it's a matter of settling easy, and we're in a finer dimension, and they're just there. It's a law. Okay. They're all there, but we're not aware of it. Easy settling, opening, whatever, clearing, so you can move into the next dimension level. Okay. And because of the more aliveness in the potted plant, we call it nutrients, maybe the more aliveness and harmony, whatever of the energies in that larger space of two by, creates a two buyer. Okay. And he straightens up more. He's better in his body. He functions a little bit better. He moves along to a three by, and it's more of the same. So yeah, we use different words, catch your attention. So potted plant, the nutrients, the minerals, whatever, in the two by, the finer energies are there, and they're more harmonious, whatever they're doing in their harmonious beats. Different qualities are available there, and they all enhance. So the 3x3 person, he's straighter, he's stronger, he's more effective, he's more aware of his surroundings, he's in relationship with them. So yeah, all the patterns are very similar. I think we tried to get that across last week, that we use four different forms, four different images.
Patterns.
Four different patterns, but basically I'm just laying out the same thing. There's only one universe. Okay. Now how we look at it and work our way through it, but because it's one thing, We present it in different words and different stories and stuff like that, but it's still the one thing. There's certain rules and regulations of how it works. Okay. So whether we're one buying or Bobby Roberting or one by, two by, or bad day, fair day, good day, it's following the same patterns. That's all we're trying to get across. So in whatever way is comfortable for you. Yeah. Blah, blah. Anything here? Are we finished with last week?
Give them a minute. Maybe there's something left out there. What do you think, people? Any other questions?
Last week?
I don't know, but
Hey, Sensei,
I'll
it's
say
Dr.
something. Oh, go ahead, Sassoon.
Who dat?
In practice,
All
I'm
right.
looking better. In practicing the practices, oftentimes we want to practice them in situations that are, we'll call them non-optimal or challenging situations. And it's my experience has been, it's just something I want to share with you and the other students, is that the first hit of a problematic situation is not often the most tasty. If we have an unpleasant situation, we're opening to that. The very first inclination is, I don't want to open to this anymore. Taken years of training to say, hang in there, open up, keep going. And I still find it a challenge at times. So I didn't know if you had any comments for that, or if any other students had experiences as such.
Let me get clearer. So the situation's happening, something's happening, yeah. And would you say there's a certain point where you don't feel like continuing to meet the more of that? Is that would you say that? Can you?
Sure. Let's say I'm having a disagreement with my wife.
Let's not.
Kind of you asked for it. Oh no, but that's a perfect situation to open up more. And yet, saying I want to open up to a disagreement with my wife is not exactly the statement people want to step into. But it does take that effort to.
Yeah, different things. Let's say I get locked into, I don't want to listen to her, Bobby. Okay. For me to get out of that shell of Bobby, okay, a one by one kind of thing, to move into another needs a little activity, volition, desire. Okay. All I can hope is that as we do this and open up, that the energies that are showing and the mix that's going on, the better plant, will be, wow, that's fun. And someplace it won't be a chore. I don't think Sensei took his greatness of opening as a chore. Okay, there's a lot of fun and excitement in there. So back to you again. What? I don't know. Knowing we get stuck at a certain level, and to break through that little shell, that membrane of that thing you're in, and it's more room here. I can breathe better. I can hear her better. I begin to feel what she's saying. That's where we get. But yes, at first we might be in a tight shell, and you don't want to move along anymore. We're inherently lazy, could I say? I might have fun
Thank you for
to Robert, but you want me to go on and not? Don't leave me alone. I've had enough. I'm tired here. So,
Bob, may I?
Thank you for the reminder of the membrane and shell analogy. That works very well for those. It's a good analogy for those situations. Thank you.
yeah.
Bob, may I?
Richard?
Just the Sensei comment that the essence of Aikido is the cultivation of the spirit of reconciliation. And Sassoon, I think you really hit it on if there's ever a place where we need it, it's, like charity begins at home. I just think what you're touching there is exactly the pivot point where we decide that we're going to make this process happen that Bob's describing. There's something very critical about what you're asking.
I think of it, I haven't formulated this, but it did pop into my mind on my front porch. Do you know what skip roping is? Not personal skip roping, but we're two young
Yes.
ladies are doing that. In my neighborhood, that was popular. Okay.
We've seen movies of it, Bob.
Old man. And to get into the move, to be the jumper, you gotta take a moment and then you jump in and you move with that. Where the hell am I going? How'd I get into this? There is a volition or something to jump into it. There's a lot of things that go on that are probably the proper things. You have to settle a bit, whatever the little girls are doing out there. You have to settle a bit, and jump in and start to move with the movements. So there's a lot there. And I'm sorry, I can't say that better. I just thought about that skip rope, and I was going to do the double skip rope. We got two going on. The girls in my neighborhood got pretty good at that stuff. Anyway.
I think the membrane and shell are a very good analogy, because sometimes the very first thing you run into is the shell.
Yeah.
And it takes that moment of willing to jump into the skip roping or bump your head against the shell and continue to open and allow. It sometimes takes that extra, instead of just deal with the situation you got as best you can.
It's something that's there, just often I want to say, leave me alone, because to listen to you, I have to settle and open up. Okay. Leave me alone. I'm in my shell. I don't want to have to activate. Okay. So I don't know. You have to find some reason to activate. Well, your wife's going to leave you if you don't. So there's your reason. Yeah. Whatever.
There's just there's good reason. There's that first bumping your head against the shell and saying, forget this, and just that willingness to.
Yeah, I think after a bit, so believe it as much, or maybe a name for it. That's weird, Nado, or weird Bobby, or something. I don't believe it as much as I originally did. This is it. This is all there is. It's dog eat dog world. I have those too. Those feelings that's it. But it's like I don't believe it as much, because I've been past that and into more. Sort of know how it works. So it doesn't potentially lock me in as much as it does probably for a lot of people who are there their whole lives.
It's only taken you how long?
Yeah, I've
to get that practice. I'm sorry.
I'm very slow. Very slow. I believed though, Sensei, when he said, Nato, you can do what I do in whatever he said, a month, 3 months, something like that. I believed him, but it's taken me many years to get the sense of things. Okay, I call that my dumb factor. Live with it. Break through it. I don't know. Do something.
Thank you, Sensei.
Yeah. Okay. Where the hell are we? Somebody? Yeah, there was two voices jumping in before. I think, was there somebody else on something?
Yeah, Sensei, it's Dusty. I just wanted to thank you, I guess. I spend a lot of time in the car with my daughter. I have a teenage daughter. And so these teenagers, sometimes they'll say things that fragments me and kind of goes, and I want to immediately lash back. But I hear this settle. And that's what I do. I just kind of sink down. And yeah, the person that spoke earlier tonight, it changes everything. It just all of a sudden, oh, okay, it comes out differently or whatever it might be. So thank you for that. And then today I was driving with her, and she's a huge Taylor Swift fan. I don't know if you know the name Taylor Swift, but a female musician that's been doing it for a while now. Well, I was thinking about the potted plant theory, because Taylor Swift, when she was 16, I want to make sure, this is my question, I want to make sure I'm on the right roll here. When she was 16, she came out and she was everything. The people loved her. She was this little pop singer. And then she kind of leveled out or whatever. And then when she was 24, she got, I guess, a new pot, and she became this sensation again, but in a slightly different type of music. She wasn't playing the same type of music or writing the same type of music that she was 8 years earlier. And now she's 32, and she's making this music that is, again, brilliant and totally different than anything she's done in the past, because she's like in a new pot.
Yeah.
And
So
Dusty,
am
is
I
there
on
a
the right
question in there,
track?
Dusty?
No,
Well, my question
go ahead.
is, I want to make sure it's right, is where does the soil come from? The minerals come from?
It was created. It's all there. It's all there. It was created in the beginning of creation. But in our littleness, we're not really aware. We get a little bit, of course, we're alive. But it's all finer, and there's endless amounts of it. Sometimes I call it the great warehouse. One aspect I call the great warehouse. It's filled with stuff. It's there, but I'm not aware of it when I'm small and tight. To all intents and purposes, it's not there. It's not available. But it is there, and that's why I do a dimensional approach to get to finer dimensions, where the finer energies, the warehouse of stuff, can begin to show. And there's more, and there's more, and there's more. So I don't know, maybe well, that's my sense of it. So it's kind of easy for me. Dimensional, better. Next, finer dimensionals, finer. Next, even finer. Wow. And the stuff that's there, if you're to check out the stuff that's there, the beauty of it, the harmony of it, the joy of it, the power of it, the richness of it. Okay, some people have learned to tap it that way. Bob, thinking your way to riches, thinking your way to riches.
Napoleon Hill, Sensei.
Yeah, some people have learned tricks of how it works, where they're able to tap it and actually tap it. So they get very, very
tap it.
rich. It's there. It's all available. I know it's hard for us who are in our sense and our experience of the limited of things. We can hope that happens. We can pray, God, please. But you learn how to actually. So Sensei, again, we're just trying to show that. Look at, I hit this level, and there's actual protection, or there's actual harmony, or there's actual power. It was there. He didn't create it. He settled down, opened up, if you would, went dimensional to where it could begin to show and be active. Not an idea or a belief or I hope so, a nice idea. He was showing the actual of it. And that's where he was fantastic.
Oh.
And that it's available to you. He never said, this is mine, guys, nobody else. He'd say, you can all catch on to this if you catch on to how it works. Just we're all a little dense, or many of us, shouldn't say all. Me and some others are kind of dense, and it takes us a while. Get the sense of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah. So.
Thank you. Yeah.
And again, we can't just do it with the idea of it. That's important. I just presented probably an idea. But now you have to sit, you have to open, you have to deal with the energies, get comfortable and realize it's okay and not be afraid of them and stuff. So they can show their true colors. Everything, if you sit with it, will show its true color. See, what we see is a lot of crap. Yeah. But as you settle and open and settle and open and settle and open, you begin to see the reality of that was crap.
Yeah, yeah.
You look at something shit, but you sit with it in the sitting format. And it turns out after a bit to be fertilizer. A little finer. Oh my God, it's life-giving. But look what you started with. Crap. Shit. And it turns out to be fertilizer. It turns out to be life-giving. And whatever, more and more of finer and finer of it. It's there. You have to do that. Just to believe all crap is God-given and it's beautiful. It's just an idea. There's no, not enough of that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Bravo.
That was a good go around, Dusty.
Thank you.
We better move into, y'all finished on whatever, wherever we're at? This sustaining, retaining, holding a certain level, I guess, always comes up. It's been coming up again lately. You've all probably had that question. So who, what, when, where, why, who sustains? If you can't sustain yourself at a certain level, who did you become? What happens that you can't sustain? And if you can't sustain, what happens then? When does this happen? Is this particular times? Yeah. When do you personally feel more thrown off by things where you can't sustain? Where are you? And then where do you go when you can't sustain? Where? Why? I don't know why. Why can't you hold it? Why do we get bumped out, so to speak? Okay, so I think there's a lot in who, what, when, where, and why. What I'd like to hear tonight is your versions, your examples of the sustaining. Is that okay? A word? Do we all sort of agree what we're talking about here? Is that been established?
Sensei, this is Lauren. When we were talking about these questions, you kept asking, what does it mean to people to sustain? To sustain what? Yeah.
Okay, let's start there. So you talk about not being able to sustain. So let's start there. Sustain what? Hello. That's a question mark. Hello.
And people, just open your mics and speak up, please.
It's your night tonight. I'm going to try to stay back a little bit. I'm trying.
Hi, Sensei. Linda Eskin.
Linda.
For me, it feels like a certain level of energy, almost like, I don't know, enthusiasm comes to mind, but that's not really what I mean. But like determination, or yeah, a little bit of power. And what it feels like to lose that is sort of a deflation, like energetically, posturally, like but the what I would want to sustain is being able to move forward in what I'm doing, have a reasonably good attitude, feel energized.
Okay. Where do you go when you get, I don't know the word, bumped out of there?
Oh,
When you can't sustain it, where do you go? The opposite of that?
Yeah, the opposite of that, lack of energy, feeling discouraged, feeling put upon, being lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to get into answering. I forget, I'm not sure the word, answering your presentations. But on this one, I'll say, well, don't forget the 1 by 2 by 3 by pattern. That could be a simple one.
Yeah, thank you. And this week I've been playing with all of this a lot, and it's been really cool.
But that's sort of a nice one in that you can, the deflation, no power, no energy is very obvious. So it's not one that really kind of sneaks up on you and it's insidious. You're not sure what's happening. You're pretty clear on that. Oh God, I don't got the energy, you know.
I don't wanna.
Yeah. So it's kind of a nice one in that it's clear when it's there, clear when it's not there.
Not subtle.
That should make it a bit easier to play with.
Thank you.
Somebody, your form of sustaining or not sustaining. What's your take on it?
Sensei Bob here. If you look at any of the patterns you laid out last week, so the one I relate to the most at the moment is bad day, fair day, good day. If you're having a good day, maybe even a great day, and then all of a sudden it just disappears. You know, some minor thing happens that really shouldn't be a big deal. And
Yeah, okay, so what happened? Where did you go? Where it disappeared? What happened in the disappearance? Where did it go? Where did you go?
In terms of looking at the pattern, you've gone from a good day or a great day to maybe a bad day. You've fallen down the ladder, so to speak.
Okay. Yes. Why? What should we do with that? Give us an example if you can. Nowhere? You're having a good day and suddenly you're having a horrible day just out of nowhere?
Well, you leave home, you're going to work, you got things pretty well under control at work, things are good at home, and then somebody cuts you off in traffic and you lose it. And you went from being master of the universe to a raving idiot in the space of a really short period of time.
Okay, again, I didn't want to get into how to cope with it. I wanted to have the variety of. I had a feeling that there are different angles on not being able to sustain, that we couldn't answer that problem with one format only kind of thing. So I wanted to hear a variety of problems or questions about it, but not necessarily answer them yet. Okay. So what the hell am I saying? Help me.
Yeah, I think it would be good to hear other definitions that may help kind of give us a picture of what we're really looking at.
Okay. And for example, to start them going.
So I have an example. This is Elaine. And this happened. I had a full load of clients set up in Berkeley, and I started driving over to Berkeley from Petaluma, which is 40 miles. And my tire pressure light came on. Which, you know, it's maybe just simply means you pull off and you go to a gas station, you put some air in your tires. But the tires were new, so that was a bump. And it meant that because I was like crossing the Richmond Bridge, which is not a place where you want to get stuck in your car ever at all, I needed to figure it out, before I crossed the bridge. So there was this moment of, oh, my day is fucked. That was one of those situations where it just bumped me and kicked me out of, feeling capable and, okay, what's the next step? And I got to next steps and resolved, the problem. But I think that's an example of something, something from outside my car, making me feel like my whole day was shot.
Again, I wasn't going to go into handling the different cases. I just wanted to hit a variety, but I get sucked in. I'm sorry. I don't know. I get sucked in. Something like that. The situation has changed. Therefore, the centered you, the person, has to change.
Yeah.
So we're in a previous, oh boy, I'm going to work again. I feel good about it. Suddenly, bang, the light goes on. That situation, you have to change. There is a changing going on. It's a law. This changes, the red light went on. This is beginning to change. Okay. I'm having a good day. Two thugs approach me. Oh shit. Changes are going on. Okay. So I think someplace we have to go over that again or practice with that, something. I'm not sure what to say now. Again, I wanted to hear what you folks have to say, but anyway, quickly, yes, that's my throw out for a moment. But help somebody.
Yeah, this is Amy from Florida. Sometimes I find it's not a situation like my tires or a relationship or something out there. It's like I'm squared away, I'm feeling aligned, I'm feeling pretty good, and then all of a sudden I feel this energy coming into my system, like all of a sudden there's just this huge amount of energy, and I start reacting. I'm not sustaining,
Okay. All right. Didn't mean to get into. Is it? You're in a certain level of pot, and for whatever reason, it's time to be in the next level of pot. So the energy starts showing before we realize what's happening, and use the potted plant theory to work. Yeah. So you'll be okay again. Is it something like that, where more energies are coming in from an unknown source, it seems like?
Yeah, and I do that's when I do the practice because I'm losing it. So yeah, it's definitely, I definitely need more pot. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, it's the same old doo-doo. Okay. Blah. Oh, out there. Where the hell are we with this? What's your sense of it? What's your problems with it? Have you learned any tricks? Or what's your?
Oh, Sensei, it's Dave Blader.
Sorry, speak up, please.
Yes, it is Dave. Can you hear me?
That's better, Dave.
It's for me, it is, especially since moving to Mexico, as we have last month. I've been here about a month. I'm recognizing fear. Fear keeps getting in my way of being present. It keeps getting in my way of everything. It attaches me to different things too. So I'm fascinated. I'd love to hear your feedback.
Again, tonight, I didn't want to get much into feedback. I just wanted to hear the variety of problems and what you thought about it. So I'm not sure about
Okay.
that, but let me hang.
Okay, yeah,
Fear.
my
what?
thoughts are
Fear,
about,
fear what? Fear is a word. Fear of what?
you name it, it's just a blatant fear. Fear that's, I can't put my finger on. But it's there, and I think it's a fear of life.
Well, I think it parallels, at the second that the tire light comes on, it's like, would you call that a rush of what we label as fear?
Or I label it as fear, yes, since they moved.
Yeah, I'm trying to, forgive me a second here, trying to get my, okay, I'm trying to behave like Lauren would like me to and show up when I talk. Okay, I was just saying that when the tire light comes on, it was at a, Elaine, would we say like fear comes in or something like that? But to me, one of the most brilliant pieces of what Bob brought us from O Sensei was, wait a minute, before you decided to have that experience with it, it was energy. If you connect with it as energy in there. So I'm starting to get into conversation here, and I didn't mean to. I just meant we were resonant with fear as part of what goes on at the moment that we lose our sustaining our centeredness. So I'll leave it there, and let's hear from other people.
And thank you.
Let me throw in that's important. That remember what I was going to do with you folks, I was trying to figure out how to set it up, not tonight, but on some class of I have an idea, I want to stand better. You know that game, we've done it a few times. I'd like to stand better. I really would like to stand better, whatever standing better means. And then now the energies are mixing. Here they come. They're energies to facilitate standing better. Okay, so far? You all have done it. Yeah? Noah?
I should say, yes, that's right.
Now, what if you didn't know how it worked? Okay. And you were thinking, gee, I'd like to whatever better. I'd like to whatever better. And the energies start forming and start moving at you, through you. What would you call them? You don't know anything about this, what we know. What would you call that? Nervousness at first? This little tingling going on? Fear? What would you call
Yes,
that?
fear. Performing artists sometimes call it butterflies.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we called it butterflies.
And you all have different names for it.
Right.
Okay. So I'm trying to support what Moon was saying. You call it fear, but and their energies, as Richard pointed out, get past those words, because we put strange words on things that aren't that. That's our reaction to those things, but those things aren't that really. What are they really? We have to sit and settle and open to them. At first, I feel them as fear. Okay, good. Yes, that establishes the lineup here. Easy. What are you really? Or I played the say what game. You said fear. I heard it. I felt it. I experienced it. What are you really saying? And it may continue along that line for a bit, like, be careful. Okay, I heard that. Easy. What are you really saying? I'm sort of settling and opening a bit. What are you really saying? And the tonality around the third, fourth begins to change. At first, because it's beginning to change, you don't trust it. You think it's a trick to take you over. Easy. Next one is even follows that better sense and is even a bit better. It's like, whoa, this is pretty cool. So I think an important trick is that you realize you're putting words on energy movement, energy mixes. And I think it behooves us all I don't know. Hopefully you play with that. Come to terms with it. Learn some of the tricks. I tell you stories, dumb stories over and over. I want to go out and kill somebody. I don't care who I'm going to kill. Okay, that's me. I can't continue living with that feeling so strong. I want to kill because they'll put me in jail. I'm too handsome to go to jail, right? What the hell is that? And I sit with it. What is that? And it's red and it's raging. And then it's a volcano, red and raging, but and I forget the pattern now, but I continued sitting, apparently going dimensionally finer. I wouldn't have used those words in those days, but I was sitting with it and continuing with it. Got to a level where it was just power, but it had no agenda. It didn't want to hurt anybody. It was just power. But my reaction to the power was, I want to kill somebody. That's why I tell you the dumb stories. They're very important. Fear. Okay, sit with it. What the hell is it really? And what is it really? Open to it, open to it. It's energies and they're intelligent. They can dialogue. Settle and open and see what they have to say. Take it in increments. Okay.
Bob, when I started with you, there was a phrase you used to use, hello, energy.
I picked that up from O Sensei. I think he used to welcome the energy. Welcome it. So that was a carryover from O Sensei. Hello, hey, how you doing here? Hey? Talk to me.
Other views of sustaining.
I'm sorry? I was talking when you were talking, sorry.
Sensei, I think there are a few more people who have their mics open. Anybody want to
Sensei.
speak up?
Hi, Sensei. How are you doing?
Okay.
This is Andrew from San Jose. I don't know if this counts, but at that time, I never had a managerial position. And then it was like 4 years ago. This was at a nonprofit that I was a member of. And the head of the district here in Silicon Valley asked me to be one of her managers. I'd never been a manager. I kind of was surprised and kind of wondering why she would pick me and stuff like that. So when I went to one of my first teams, I was kind of thinking, what would they think of me? First of all, I was younger than many of them, and I had no experience, even though I had been in the organization for a long time. And I kind of went in with a lot of doubts, a lot of, what's a word? Imposter syndrome. Kind of doubting my own strength and stuff. So after I was done, this was like a year later, the same group of people, I was in charge of 5 teams. But this particular one, he went up to me and he said, hey, look, you were the first manager that we ever had that visited us in like 4 years. And he said, no, you were particularly very well. He had a lot of praise for me.
Can I cut to the chase here?
Now that I don't know if this is a good example of what you're talking about, but
okay. Again, I meant just to listen, but you suck me in. Every time I try to get out, you pull me back in. Anyway, your situation, you're offered a job.
Yes.
Boom. The plant, the center is reacting. The red light just came on in Elaine's case. You're offered this bigger job.
Yes.
Boom. Now there's a whole lot of energy presenting for the character, the plant to intake.
Yes.
Sounds like what you did was with this extra energy, you let it continue out into whatever you were saying.
Yeah.
And you can make up endless stories. You got a lot of energy there. This story and that story, and he said, and they said, and I felt, and the simple basics are, as soon as you're offered the job and you're getting all kinds of boom, you've been taught a pattern. There are energies mixing up in your system to make you an actual manager. I don't know the words there, but an actual manager.
Yeah.
You were offered a thing, but you need this thing.
Yeah.
They threw a bigger pot at you, but now you got to become a better plant. And that's all that was trying to go on. But instead of being a better plant, you went into wasting your time, in a certain way, wasting a lot of the energy. The energy is just meant to mix you up as, hey, yes. Is that okay?
What I was saying was that I got positive praise when I actually doubted myself the entire time.
You don't feel yourself, you're going to doubt yourself, can I say?
He
I mean,
said that
there's a
he
million
doubted
things.
himself when he went in as a manager.
A million things a certain way, because they're all based on you didn't deal with it here, and now you got and that to deal with, and that gets endless. Okay. Therapists make a lot of money. I should have taken up therapy. They make a lot of money dealing with all those . Okay. Yeah. If we don't activate, if we don't experience, let the energies mix and own them or be the plant, those energies are going to push us into whatever land. It's human condition. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. For now, you're not happy. But I
guess what I'm trying to say is that the end result was much better than expected.
Yeah. And it could have been an easier, faster trip for you, is all. Worked out well. Hey, great. It just could have been easier, could have been with knowing how it works and activating properly. You could have saved yourself a lot of time and energy not worrying about what you were presenting as your worries. That's all I'm saying. It worked out. Thank God it worked out. It just could have worked out faster and smoother and easier when you know how to play the game a bit better. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah. Thank you. Somebody. What's the problem?
Well, okay, so I woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning 3 days ago because I knew that I had to tell the court that I had resolved an issue with an obstreperous client. And the client had told me previously that the court had said, client must do this. And I told him, the court says you have to do this. And he said, I'm never going to do that. You're my lawyer. It's your job to get them to agree. And I said, well, you're telling me that it's my job to get the judge to not enforce the laws of the state of California. And I don't think he's going to do it. So I wake up at 5 in the morning.
Can you move closer to your microphone, please, Ross? It's a little difficult.
Is that better?
Thank you.
I mean, if I get any closer, my face will be in the, can you hear me?
It's okay. Thank you.
All right. So at 5 in the morning, I get up and what had happened was my mind had taken over because I had turned my client into something that I had aversion towards. You know, like I had turned my client into the problem, and I had taken myself out of the center of energy. And so I just said, this is not going to work. If I approach my client thinking that he's the problem, it's not going to work. I need to sort of clear myself and get to a deeper space and view this differently, or let go of my aversion and my preconceptions about it. So I just sort of hung out by myself. I had a cup of decaf coffee and, stuff like that. And then I
something shifted so that by the time I called him, I mean, we had a lovely conversation and I got him to completely change what he was doing, and the court was fine. They gave us a short continuance, and, you know, so the whole thing worked once I shifted my energy. And I knew the energy was wrong because I woke up in the morning thinking about this stuff, and I was kind of short-tempered with myself and just sort of situations around me. But I knew also that if I just sort of followed, I think this was the, you know, good day, medium day, I mean, bad day, medium day, good day. I kind of turned it from, in my mind, what was going to be a very bad day.
Also, what I heard, Ross, was he's the problem.
Yeah.
But you're smart, so you went, that's not cool. I got to do something with me. And as you did something with you, then you were at a better level and problem worked out, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah, but you had to stand in the middle of it, eat it, let it mix through you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know how to do that. They're afraid of their own energy mixes and stuff. So it's much easier for some people. They're the problem. They always will be. It's them. It's them. It's them. It's like, yeah, but you talk about them a lot. Must be something has to do with you, you know, but people don't want to be here and now with themselves because they have an aversion to the depths of the energy, the underworld of energy. It's really gorgeous, people. It's gorgeous. But at first it could be icky poo. It's not fertilizer at first, it's shit. Again, I tell you the stories, me in the snake pit. Okay. So yes, to remember was really bugging you. Unfortunately, we have to come back to us.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of it too, you know, because you can take full responsibility for what you do.
And the growth, that's important. The growth where in a certain way you grew, I don't know what your words, but from an angry lawyer, you grew to I don't know, something more. Do you have a word for
Peacemaker.
I grew into a center, grounded, kind person.
Tell me about you, kind person. Kind person. Give me a little bit more, kind person.
Well,
Reconciliation.
Yeah, just like approaching others as you know, as deep people on their own. Like he was no longer a function of my life. I didn't have to have him work out for my project. It was I'm a deep person. I will communicate with you in a and I think kindness is important because I approached him in a very open, non-judgmental and non-demanding way. And like at the end of the whole thing, this whole thing took about 20 minutes. And I didn't even understand how it had worked out as well as it did. But the shift was in me. It was me before I even picked up the phone that day.
And all I was asking there, Ross, was who were you? This plant, let's go back to the potted plant. As a plant, who were you? And you threw out the word kindness, like I was kinder, like, okay, but I'd like to hear a little bit more. You, maybe you as a lawyer, you as somebody that's ingested more energies and are being enhanced.
Right, and not seeing the separate players as fully separated and not seeing them as problems, but seeing the things as a cohesive energy matrix that can work together as long as you put the right energy into it.
Okay, and the moon threw out a word. Moon, what word did you throw out?
Reconciliation. Reconciliation.
Yeah, or conciliation. I mean, it's getting parts to work seamlessly together, and you do it by having a deep energy yourself that people trust.
If you're not at that level, how can that happen in the circle world that you're in?
Well, that's the trick, right?
Back to moon,
Yeah.
Richard.
Yeah, you're setting a tone. I just spoke with Tony.
Yeah.
Those of you old timers would remember Tony Piazza, world famous at this point, mediator. And he said it was all.
That's the word I was looking for.
Turn on.
Go ahead.
Turn on. Be a good boy. Okay, am I showing yet? Am I here? Okay,
There you are.
now I can talk. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, so Tony just said that the whole thing he had learned, and I picture in my mind cooling rods in a nuclear plant, but he said is just take the reactivity out so the natural intelligence of the people can work. Thank you.
Anyway, to go from an angry type lawyer, angry at them, to somebody who can get conciliation. There's a lot of personal growth. You're not an angry lawyer. Now you're the one where conciliation goes on. In Aikido, that's a pretty good nage. At a certain level, things go on smoother and harmoniously. Now, anyway, blah, blah. So yeah, thank you. What's the problem?
I have something, but I don't know if it was a problem. This is Amy from Oakland.
Amy from Oakland.
I didn't necessarily was here last week because I was doing something else, but I couldn't come. But I recently did a physical activity. It was for a certification and I had to achieve a certain thing. And it took me weeks and weeks of preparation for that physical activity. And there was I was suffering through injury, like I had some shoulder thing. I had this thought of self-doubt that maybe I'm not going to pass this thing. And that I was swarmed within that self-doubt. There was like shoulder pain or whatever, but deep down, there was something that knew that everything was going to be okay and that I could do it. And it was not necessarily like a popcorn, or sorry, it was not a potted plant thing, but it felt more like a popcorn thing. Like there's, you're stewing in this oil and there's stress and there's difficulty, but really there's this kernel of something that can transform. And so sustaining that feeling was crucial and important for me. So even though I'm swarmed in all this stuff, there's still that seed of, I can do it. I know I'm going to do it. And it's good.
And even though the body pains and stuff were there and obvious, it's like, yeah, no, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could I suggest or wonder if that inner thing isn't what we're calling easy the eye self clearer, that the self is there a little closer. I don't know what words he used now, but a little closer, a little more present, has been allowed a bit in the past, so it's in the neighborhood. And when things got the self said, hey, from my perspective, it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking maybe that was a self sense.
That could be. There was also touching base twice a day. So every morning, every evening, I would, do the process and reconnect and kind of just give it time. And that really was essential. I mean, the practice is important.
How'd the kettlebells go?
That's what it was, right? So I passed, I got certified, and there was me that knew that I was going to do it, and then there was the me that was self-doubt. And yay, Linda's all like, yeah, she knows.
I'm from the old school, a certificate in kettlebells.
Yeah.
I'm from the old smelly gyms where the guys.
Oh, you'd like it. I'll show you someday.
When we do the process, by the way, all along the way, the I, easy, self, finer of self is moving along in that process. So when you do a Bobby to a Robert, the I has opened a little bit. when Robert goes to Nadeau, it continues. So it follows, I don't know how to say this right now, but it follows the same pattern. Maybe one day we'll work on that. Try to bring that out clear. I'm just filing it away for myself. Anyway, thank you, Amy. Okay. When do they knock you out of whatever you were trying to hold, could we say? What happens when you get knocked out? Where do you think you go when you get knocked out? What do you think keeps you from going back to that level? Not to say you should go back to that exact same place, but something. Blah, blah, blah. You guys talk. What's with that?
I hate to be chatty, but what Sassoon said earlier, said like, well, what do you do when you're going to have an argument with somebody or something? So like you get thrown, right? And you have to know that you've been thrown, and you have to realize that you'll find whatever little signs in yourself to tell you you're not operating the way in the way you're used to operating, or in the way that you would like to be operating. So you do whichever of our techniques or whatever particular, spiritual, physical technique you use to get back to a place where you feel like you're okay. I don't know, but when we had back at Turk Street years and years ago, somebody had stuck on the wall a little what do you call it? Fortune cookie, and it said, "Don't let unexpected events throw you." And it was up there the whole time that school was there. And it's kind of true, like stuff like, I know as a lawyer, like I come to my work and I think, oh, I got a great day, it's gonna be blah, blah. You don't know what's gonna walk in the door. So you better have techniques to get yourself back to an even keel, whatever they are, But I don't, to think you're always, unless you're really, really advanced, things are gonna throw you. And it's your job to know you've been thrown and get back to your good place.
Yeah.
And that's why we practice rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not that you won't get thrown, but one of the tricks will be realizing we've been thrown and how to get back to a proper place. Okay. So it may not be exactly the same place you were before you got thrown, but coming back to a place should be that place level of you that is appropriate to the situation. Yeah. Okay. I think sometimes people try to, they have a certain identity or feeling of feels good, and they get thrown and they try to get back to that same exact feeling. But doesn't it depend on what threw you? If that situation is still in effect, still there, that what you're coming back to is a different mix that will be comfortable with itself, not the mix you had before. When Elaine's red light went on, it may be starting to mix up, oh shit, I got to change my tire kind of thing. I got to be a mechanic or something here. And things are starting to mix. Okay, because that could happen. Okay. But to try to come back to, I'm the person going to work, looking forward to my good day at work. The situation has changed, therefore the centered person has to change by law. Okay. And anyway, I think sometimes people get a little confused with trying to go back to exactly the same nice feeling they were having, and don't take into consideration, but is it exactly the same situation, or something changed there, or what? So that's one of the things you should play with. Ponder.
Sensei.
What? Who
This
that?
is Andrew again.
Yes, Andrew again.
Could a could a good example of this be like I mean, let's say you're dating and let's say that relationship didn't work out and you're going to the next relationship. You know yourself a little bit better. You're kind of you know what to look for, you know what things to avoid, and then you may know what to look for in a different person, and so your next relationship should be a little bit different or even, maybe even better. Would that be a good example of what you're talking about?
It's been so many years. Let me mull back into the history. Anybody want to answer him on this? Give me a break.
I was actually going to come back to you a second ago, Andrew, because that shift into that larger identity with more responsibility. When I met you, Bob, I don't know if you remember, I used to run the Wild Mountain Cafe, and it was and the whole squad that came in and trained and all that. It was like an overwhelming thing to me, and that why I bring back your little thing when you taught me to say hello energy at those moments that I just wanted to whatever go off in the ways that I shouldn't as a manager or leader. That one little piece alone, which is Aikido, that was just essential. That was great. And I think Andrew probably that's what came through from your training in the fact that you were successful. Anybody else, please? Last few.
Well, my response to Andrew is that it depends if you can learn from your relationship's failures. Like Ross was saying, you have to recognize that you've been thrown. You can get up and do it again, but did you learn anything from the experience? Like what went wrong with the relationship that it broke up so that the next time it's different? So you have to learn from these experiences as they go along in order to not keep repeating the same mistake. But that's normal growing up dealing with relationships. I don't think there's any secrets here. I'll defer to Nadeau Sensei about this further.
Well, yeah, I just would go more into the something doesn't work out. Okay, it didn't work out. Circumstance energies to the center, the mix up and down the center with those energies to be a better person in any similar situations. I'm not saying it good, am I? That it's not just learning from that. I mean, it's better than nothing, but I'd like to put the whole system into the development. I'm not saying it will tonight. Let me shut up. Anybody, anything before we finish up here?
No,
Thank
Sensei,
you,
you were on a good. You were going somewhere. So keep going.
Shit. No fertilizer. Anyway. See, since they tried to bring it out, he said something, it's one of those things that Lauren shows. If you fail, that could be really cool. Boom, boom. Why? Because you go back to the centered plant, taking in the new ingredients, they mix a better character who is different than the person who failed at that. It's a different mixed person. It's still me, but some things have been added. Some minerals I didn't have or nutrients I didn't have. They're suddenly there. And that makes me more whatever, aware, more harmonious with the other person, more whatever. So the actual energy involvement growth, as opposed to just learning things, is where I prefer this, or to me, this is critical, this actual improvement thing. You just have to have a sense of the energies, how the energies work. I think we're back to potted plant. If the plant is a little in essence, it's saying out to the circle, hey, I feel The soil circle comes in with the proper nutrient that the center plant character ingests, and it changes, and suddenly the that the plant earlier had, it doesn't have it now, because it's got these nutrients in the and on and on and on. Does that do it? No?
Sensei, the O-sensei quote that we use in the slide is, failure is the key to success.
Yeah.
Each mistake teaches us something.
Yes, if we do what I just said.
Yes.
What I learn about that, there's not enough growth with that. This center to the circle and circle to the center. The actual, put it in your body. This thing is critical. So I'm not on people's case. No, I am. Yes, I understand learning from your whatever, but to touch the level of yourself that takes care of that problem. That's the real work. Don't know if I said it well again. I'm pooping out somebody.
Good enough for me, Sensei.
Good enough. Thank God. We're getting close to the end here, or we are at the end. Anything before we finish up? Was that have any value? Mull on it. We can talk next week a little bit more if you want. Anybody? Last thing? Something?
Sensei, this is Tisha here.
Hey, Tisha there.
I've really enjoyed this, watching and experiencing this this process, and I think it's a good launching place. I don't think we're nearly done with this yet.
I didn't think we would be. I was thinking of this as a 2-weekend series.
I think it may well be, because we can get a little bit more out from this, and then get a little bit. I think there's more to harvest in this.
Yeah, I'll tell you my original intention, which was to hear the variety of ways that you can sustain, or what you do to retain sustaining, or whatever, the who, what, when, why, whatever, and just hear quite a few of those, and then maybe the next week, then we could lay out some layouts of how to deal with them. That was sort of my intention, but again, I get sucked in, and so I was throwing some stuff out, which I didn't want to do. I wanted just to have these variety of angles on sustaining or not being able to sustain or whatever, and give you a little bit, a week to mull on them, and then come back next week with, well, here's some basics that I think could help, or whatever. That was my intention, but you know what intentions are.
So I've heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Have we had it for tonight?
I think, Sensei, unless somebody has something urgent they want to speak up, we're just coming up close to, here's Joanna, who has come in before the end. Go ahead, Joanna.
Really, thank you very much. Well, as we work dimensionally, I'm working slowly on this. What I have been working lately, I sent you some stories about plants, but I think finally I really felt the experience of digging in with my own roots in my own land. And what I notice is, what kind of pots are we talking about? Are we talking about the outer pots that I was really imagining before, having the idea? But what kind of inner pots of my own that I have? It was like before I was thinking, okay, am I restricting my growth too much? Am I just squaring myself in a square pot and not letting me grow? Or then should I use my own pots to kind of envelop and follow my own growth? So how do we play, besides the earth and the nutrients that we have, with our own pots of growing? Yeah.
I don't have out there physical pots.
Mm-hmm.
This is inner work.
Yeah.
All right. So center and circle, inner is, there's a finer dimension of center circle.
Mm-hmm.
It'll give the impression of being a little bit bigger, let you know you're moving into the next dimension, and continue again. And there's a finer center circle following the potted plant theory. It's interdimensional. Yeah. It'll be, I don't know, something like, I don't know what I'm talking about right now, but somebody who's got an acre of land and it's not enough. So he buys 5 acres and it's not enough. And he owns a whole half the country and it's not enough. This outer thing is, I don't know, is there limitations on it or something? But the inner thing is creation size. It's vast. And in its vastness, dimensionally, it gets finer and finer, better and better. But you have to make that journey. So for me, the pot is inner circumference. The plant center is inner center. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, something to develop.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Joanna, and thank you everyone for speaking up today. And Nadeau Sensei, thank you very much for once again a wonderful class. And we'll see everybody next week for Sustainability Part 2.
Or whatever, we'll see.
Please keep doing the potted plant.
Thanks,
Okay.
Sensei. Great session. More, please.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone. David Flater, it's nice to see you settled.
Thank you, Dr. Hare. It's good to feel settled and be here. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye, everyone, and good night. Over and out.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Danny, it's great to see that you're with us today.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you.
Same, Denny.
Thanks.
From us, Denny's. Lovely
Thank
to
you.
see.
Thanks,
Lovely to
everyone. I've
see.
been lying down, thoroughly enjoying the whole presentation and what everyone had to say. It's been wonderful.
Good to hear your voice.
Great. Thanks. See you again. Bye.
Okay.